Hey team, welcome back. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through how to set up a program utilizing the Python version of the software. So the very beginning is very similar to what we've already been doing, and there's not a whole lot of changes. All right, so we're going to go to Spike Prime, New Project, and this time, instead of clicking word blocks, we're going to click Python, and you're going to rename it whatever the assignment is. So I'm just going to call it Setup for now, and hit Create. And then when the program opens, right, we're going to do everything exactly the same. We connect everything exactly the same. We can save it exactly the same. And if you watch the overview of software, we know down here's the console. We know this is our knowledge base, and this is where our code is, or this is where we're working to write our code. Okay. Now, when we open a project, these three sections are always going to be there. Okay. The first section up top. This is having you import the libraries of the functions you're going to utilize. Now this, every single time you open a new project, they already import all of the libraries for you. So these three lines you should really never change, really don't mess with. Otherwise you may, make a huge mistake, or you may make your life way more difficult because you could be trying to call a function that you don't have the library imported for, which is very important. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to comment out, and I'm going to label the three parts of the software, label the three parts of each program. Now, we don't necessarily know how to comment yet. That will be in a future video, but it's good for us to do this. It's a very good practice. So here, this is where we're importing libraries. Right? These libraries are the lists of all the functions that we're able to use and make sure they're included in the program, right? So you never change those three lines. The next part, this is where we are actually defining our functions. Define our functions. Because a function is pretty much like the action, right? So just like the beginning of our programs, when we were using block coding, we always set our movement motors and we could always set our speed, right? It's kind of sort of defining our functions, setting us up for success later down. So right here, they have hub equals prime hub. Okay, so the technical term would be the prime hub, right? That's that yellow brick that we use. So what they already do is they are defining or naming the hub or the function so we can call it or reference it later, and they're just labeling it as hub. It's extremely important that when you're defining your functions, you make them something that's easily recognizable. Don't make it something crazy just because you think it's funny, because later down the road, you're going to have to be typing that word a bunch of times, or you could forget what it means. So it needs to be clear, concise, and easily understandable, right? So here we defined our functions. The hub equals our prime hub. And then lastly, this line here is going to be where we call our functions. Calling our functions is essentially like running them, giving it directions, telling it what to do, right? So here we're calling our function. We are calling the light matrix function, and we're having it show the happy image, right? And if you see, we're calling the hub part, right? So we're calling hub, aka the prime hub. So if we look over here at our knowledge base, and we go to light matrix, we can see the actions that you have, right? For each of the knowledge base, kind of gives you a little bit of a background of it, how to use it. So we could show image, set pixel, right, off. So if we go to show image, it gives you the parameters of that function. Type, which they're talking about a string, aka text, and these are all the values, or these are everything that the light matrix can show us. Default, sometimes they'll have default, there's no default value. Brightness we could change. Type was integer. Values, the default. Here's some errors you could potentially get, and then here's an example of how we use it, right? So if we're trying to show an image, we have the libraries imported. We define our functions, and then here's where we call it. So they have hub, and it's very, very important that you check out the punctuation and how the function is set up, because that matters. If you miss one period, one underscore, one parenthesis, one colon, whatever, your code will not work. So hub, period, light, underscore, matrix, period, show, underscore, image, and then in parentheses you have happy. Right, it's very, very, very important that you see that it has these guys as well. All right, you have to make sure it looks like that to download and run your program. Right, so it's a kind of a quick little overview on how we set up our programs. In the future, I'll be going over commenting and how we actually can use various functions and how we can do movement, all that fun stuff. But hopefully this helps, and good luck.